For most of your life, you've been consumed by concerns about how others perceive you, whether you're meeting expectations, and if you're achieving enough. There's a persistent inner voice that insists you should be more advanced by now, that you should appear more youthful, that you should have everything sorted out. For years, many of us pursue these ideals, often without questioning their origin. But what if I told you that after reaching 70, something changes? It's not that you stop caring altogether, but rather that you begin to focus on what truly matters. You realize that much of what once drained your time, tranquility, and happiness was never important to begin with. This phase of life isn't about surrender, it's about awakening to your own needs, to what genuinely brings you solace, purpose, and liberation. In this discussion, we'll explore 7 things that lose their hold after 70. These are the anxieties, demands, and unseen burdens that many carry for far too long. But here's the reality. Releasing them doesn't signify weakness or apathy. It means you're finally creating space for what's truly significant. Inner calm, meaningful connections, direction, and simplicity. And if you've ever felt trapped by outdated expectations or are starting to question what truly deserves your attention in this stage of life, this message is for you. I hope it offers not just understanding, but also reassurance. Let's begin. Dwelling on past mistakes. There's a subtle yet profound weight to dwelling on the past. It doesn't demand attention. It simply persists, like a shadow unnoticed until the day's end. Nearly everyone carries some form of it. A choice they wish they'd made differently, an opportunity missed, words spoken too hastily or not at all. For years, these memories replay, especially in quiet moments, prompting the question, asterisk. What if I had chosen another path? But after 70, a shift occurs. You begin to view the past with greater compassion. You realize that dwelling on mistakes isn't a mark of failure, but a sign of growth and humanity. Consider John, now 83. For many years, he regretted declining a job opportunity in his 40s that promised more money and opportunities, but would have meant relocating away from his family. He often wondered if he'd been too cautious. Yet now, in the home where he raised his children and taught his grandson to ride a bike, John reflects, "That choice gave me time, and in the end, that's what mattered most." You see, dwelling on the past loses its grip when viewed through the lens of understanding, not self-criticism. The younger you, who made those choices, was doing their best with the knowledge they had. They lacked the experience and clarity you possess now, but they were trying, and they brought you to this moment. So instead of asking, "What should I have done?" you begin to ask, "What did I learn?" Instead of self-punishment, you offer self-compassion. Instead of clinging to shame, you embrace the lessons those moments provided. Releasing the past doesn't mean denying it. It means refusing to let it define you. It informs your decisions but doesn't disrupt your peace. Each new day is an opportunity to live fully, with the past as a foundation, not a burden. What matters now isn't what might have been, but what still can be. From childhood, we're handed an unseen itinerary, a schedule we're expected to follow: graduate by a certain age, start a career, marry, buy a home, have children, retire on time. We're told to find our passion and achieve it all quickly. If we miss these milestones, the world implies we're lagging behind, that we've somehow failed. But here's the truth that becomes clear with age. That schedule was never real. There is no universal timeline for love, growth, healing, or happiness. After 70, the rush fades, and you see how unnecessary it was. You realize that living by someone else's timeline only distracts you from finding your own pace. Look at Michael, who at 82 started learning to play the guitar. Not to perform or impress, but because the music had always called to him. For years he told himself he was too busy, then too old. But one day he wondered, what if it's not too late? What if this is the perfect time? Now, each morning, Michael plays with unsteady hands and steady joy. He doesn't aim for perfection. He's not chasing a concert. He's chasing a feeling, a connection to something deeply personal. That's the beauty of letting go of the rush. You stop living to check off boxes and start living to feel alive. The truth is, some of the most meaningful chapters of your life may still be unwritten. There's room for new beginnings, not because you're trying to catch up, but because your spirit remains curious and open. So, when that voice whispers, remember, you're not behind. You're exactly where you're meant to be. You haven't missed your chance. You're just beginning on your own terms. Chasing fads and blending in. There's an unspoken pressure in our society that never fully disappears, no matter our age. It urges us to stay current, to avoid being left behind. It manifests in the clothes we wear, the devices we use, the language we adopt, the trends we follow. The underlying message is clear. If you're not keeping up, you're falling behind. But after 70, a change occurs. You start to see these fads for what they are: distractions, endless cycles that often lead nowhere. You stop asking and start asking. That's when the need to blend in fades and true peace begins to grow. Take Susan, now 76. For years she tried to stay current, buying the latest fashions her daughter suggested, downloading apps she never used, listening to music that didn't resonate. But one day, she looked at her closet and realized none of it felt authentic. She missed her comfortable, classic dresses, reading physical books, and music that told stories. So she gave herself permission to return to what she loved. She let go of the need to be modern and embraced what made her feel grounded and true to herself. Now Susan moves through her days with quiet confidence, not because she's trendy, but because she's in tune with herself, something no fad can provide. Here's what you realize after 70: most fads are designed to make you feel lacking, so you'll buy, chase, or change something. But in reality, you're not missing anything. You've lived through enough cycles of fashion, technology, and lifestyle trends to know that new doesn't always mean better, and old doesn't mean outdated. Sometimes it means timeless. There's dignity in choosing what truly suits you, not just what's popular. This applies to more than clothes or gadgets. It applies to how you spend your time, what you focus on, and how you present yourself. You don't need the latest phone if your current one works fine. You don't need to wear uncomfortable clothes just because they're in style. You don't need to follow every trend to prove you're still relevant. Your worth isn't defined by your ability to keep up. It's defined by your ability to show up for yourself, for those who matter, and for the life you've carefully built. So instead of asking, ask. Instead of saying, say. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, not after all you've experienced, endured, and created. Wear what feels right, use what feels natural, listen to music that moves you, and create a home that reflects your memories and peace, not a magazine cover. The goal isn't to be trendy, it's to be at peace. You've earned the right to live with comfort, clarity, and contentment, and that will never go out of style. There's a certain burden that doesn't weigh on your shoulders but is felt just the same, in your chest, in the quiet moments when you think of someone who hurt you or whom you hurt. Unspoken words, unmade calls, silence that stretched into years. That burden is resentment, and it can linger far longer than expected. For much of life, holding on to resentment can feel like strength, like protection. We tell ourselves, perhaps that felt true for a time. But after 70, something shifts. The anger becomes heavy, the silence lonely, and you ask. The truth is, no matter how deep the wound, carrying resentment doesn't erase the pain. It only occupies space that could be filled with peace, reconnection, or healing. Consider Margaret, now 79. She hadn't spoken to her younger sister in over 2 decades. A dispute over their parents' estate turned into bitterness, then avoidance, then years of awkward holiday gatherings. But last year, after a brief hospital stay reminded Margaret of life's fragility, she wrote a short letter. "I miss you. I don't want to carry this anymore." Her sister called a week later. They didn't rehash the argument or dwell on the past. They simply talked about their grandchildren, their gardens, and everyday joys. It wasn't perfect, but it softened the edges, and that was enough. Releasing resentment doesn't mean pretending nothing happened or minimizing your pain. It means choosing peace over pride, saying, "I don't want this hurt to define my story." Sometimes, forgiveness doesn't require a reunion. It's a quiet moment alone where you say, "I release this. I want to be free." To be. That's the gift of aging. You see how much time you've spent carrying what no longer serves you. Peace isn't something you find, it's something you allow. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's a different kind of strength, one that seeks release, not victory. When you let go of resentment, you make room for compassion, wisdom, and a love that doesn't need to be loud to be real. You make space for joy, which deserves more room than any old bitterness. So ask yourself, is there someone I'm still carrying, not out of love, but because of the pain they left? If so, perhaps today is the day to say, "I'm done carrying this, not for them, but for you." There was a time when others' opinions could shape your entire day, or even your life. Whether it was your appearance, career, home, car, parenting, or aging, we're taught to seek validation from the world. From childhood, we chase praise, promotions, and compliments, and this often continues into our later years. But eventually, something changes. After 70, many realize that most opinions don't matter. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you finally know who you are. Once you truly know yourself, the external noise fades. Take Barbara, now 74. For much of her life, she hesitated to do anything too different, worrying what neighbors would think of her vibrant garden, or second-guessing her bold clothing choices. She loved painting but never shared her work, fearing it wasn't good enough. One morning, while watching birds from her window, she asked, "Why does it matter what anyone thinks?" Unable to find a reason, she bought a bright dress, planted colorful flowers, and entered a local art show with her imperfect, joyful paintings. Now Barbara smiles more than she did in her 50s, not because everyone loves her choices, but because she does. Letting go of others' opinions doesn't mean becoming indifferent. It means prioritizing your inner voice over external judgment. People will always have something to say, but their words don't define you. What matters is how you feel about your choices, your life, and how you treat yourself and others. After 70, you see that seeking approval is an endless race. Even when you win, it doesn't last or bring peace. So you become selective, surrounding yourself with those who love you for who you are, not what you do or have. You make decisions that support your well-being, regardless of others' thoughts. There's quiet power in entering a room without wondering what others think. It's not arrogance, it's wisdom, the self-trust that comes with time. You've lived long enough to know you can't please everyone, and trying only leads to frustration. So, release that need. Others' approval doesn't pay your bills or ease your pain. It doesn't make your life more yours. It begins early, almost unnoticed. In school, we compare grades. At parties, we compare gifts. As teens, we compare looks and friends, and this habit quietly follows us into adulthood. Who has the better house? Whose children are more successful? Who retired first? Who traveled more? Who looks younger? Even when we know better, comparison creeps in, especially in a world where everyone's life is on display. Seeing others' highlights can make us feel inadequate, as if we haven't done enough. But after 70, many see through the illusion, not because their lives became perfect, but because they realized comparison is futile. Take Elizabeth, 75. She used to scroll through social media and feel a quiet ache, friends celebrating anniversaries, taking trips, surrounded by family. Meanwhile, she lived alone, with no grand adventures or large gatherings. For a while, she thought. But one afternoon, sitting in her garden with her dog, talking to a friend on the phone, she realized her life wasn't lacking. It was simply hers, quiet and meaningful. Introduction to Life's True Measures. The truth is, you never see the full story of someone else's life, just the highlights, not the struggles or losses. No two lives can be measured the same way, not by wealth, relationships, or achievements. What matters most can't be measured at all. After 70, you understand that success isn't about keeping up. It's about staying grounded, feeling content with your life, not chasing someone else's joy. Comparison steals your present, distracting you from your own journey. You don't need to match anyone or prove anything. You've lived decades of stories, lessons, love, and loss. You're not behind or less than. You're exactly where you're meant to be, carrying your own wisdom. So when you see others celebrating, let it inspire you without questioning your own path. Your life, as it is, holds its own beauty. It may not be loud or flashy, but it's real, and that's enough. You're not here to be anyone else. You're here to be yourself, fully and faithfully. Once you stop comparing, you'll notice your life is already full of what matters. You just need to stop looking sideways to see it. Many of us carry a certain pride in being strong and self-reliant, the one who gets things done. For years, we push ourselves, believing strength means never asking for help or slowing down. You mow the lawn despite back pain, carry heavy bags without assistance, climb stairs quickly even if breathless, and stand longer than you should, just to prove you still can. Overextending your physical limits. Many of us carry a certain pride in being strong and self-reliant, the one who gets things done. For years, we push ourselves, believing strength means never asking for help or slowing down. You mow the lawn despite back pain, carry heavy bags without assistance, climb stairs quickly even if breathless, and stand longer than you should, just to prove you still can. But after 70, something inside speaks more clearly. Your body and your wisdom. Together, they say, it's time to stop pushing. Not because you're weak, but because you've earned the right to move through life with more care and respect. Take Robert, now 80. He insisted on mowing his lawn every Saturday, calling it good exercise. But one summer, after nearly fainting in the heat, he visited the doctor who said, "Your heart's strong, but listen when your body whispers before it shouts." So Robert hired a local teenager to mow the lawn. At first, it stung, feeling like a loss. But the next Saturday, sitting on his porch with iced tea, chatting with the young man about sports, he realized he hadn't lost anything. He'd gained peace, presence, and perhaps a new friend. Here's what many discover after 70. Strength isn't about how much you carry, but knowing when to set something down. Your value doesn't come from how long you can stand or how much you can do. It comes from who you are, how you care, and how well you listen to yourself. Rest isn't laziness, it's wisdom. Asking for help isn't failure, it's maturity. Taking breaks doesn't mean giving up, it means giving yourself what you need. Your body has been with you through everything: heartache, hard work, joy, and sorrow. It deserves your compassion and care. So stretch slowly, walk at your own pace, nap when tired, use support if needed, not because you're falling apart, but because you're choosing safety and ease. You're not less than. You're experienced, wise enough to know life isn't a race. It's about being present, not fast. Your body has been with you through everything: heartache, hard work, joy, and sorrow. It deserves your compassion and care. You don't need to prove anything, not after all you've done, built, and shown the world. Now is the time to care for your body with the same tenderness it has shown you. Real strength lies not in pushing, but in slowing down and still feeling whole. Reflecting on the journey and embracing freedom. Let's pause for a moment. You've just explored 7 things that no longer need to burden you after 70. Pressures, fears, and expectations that may have shaped your past, but don't have to define your future. Perhaps one resonated deeply, or maybe several stirred something within you. Maybe you've realized you've been carrying more than necessary, or perhaps you've already begun to let go. Wherever you are, know this. You're not alone. Life after 70 isn't the end. It's a new chapter with fewer distractions and, if you allow it, greater clarity. This is the time to ask yourself, what am I holding that no longer serves me? Whose voice am I still heeding, even if it doesn't reflect who I am? What parts of my past do I need to stop replaying? And what would it feel like to simply be? That's the gift of aging, the freedom to live on your terms, to choose joy over judgment, peace over pressure, depth over distraction. You don't have to rush, prove anything, or be anyone but who you've become, shaped by decades of experience, love, loss, and growth. You've endured, evolved, and now you've earned the right to live with ease, speak your truth, and protect your energy unapologetically.